Oh boy, hey there YouTube. I'm going to show you a video in a couple of seconds that I posted to Instagram, I don't know, about a week ago. It got a lot of comments, a lot of discussion, a lot of interaction. It's showing a situation that I would say is very bad for USPSA, not a good situation at all. And then we can talk about it. So here you go, here's the video.
Stop! Unload and show clear. If clear, hammer down, holster. Range is clear. You know what you did, right?
Are you trying to call me on 10-5-1-6 when I'm facing downrange? Because it's compound, it has to be both.
Well, you're turned
I'm
sideways
facing
when you
downrange,
draw,
sir.
and you break in the 180 when the trigger comes out of the holster.
It's within 3 feet of foot on draw, and 10-5-1-6, the rule about the front of the holster, only applies if you're facing or moving uprange. I was facing downrange.
You were turned.
Downrange is the entire...
Where your holster is right here. And you were turned, so when you draw, you didn't turn.
All right, as you can see there, what ended up happening in the video is there's a guy going to draw his pistol. You've got range officer off to the side, kind of looking and watching. Guy gets the start signal, draws his pistol, is stopped immediately. And then there's the back and forth regarding the rules citation. So like I said, this footage got a lot of discussion on Instagram because I think it's a very interesting piece of footage, and there's kind of a cultural divide about it. Just to give you my take, I look at this and I was like, this is terrible. This is a terrible scenario for USPSA. If you look at it as an outsider, what you see is a shooter standing there. It looks like some stage or course of fire or something. And it's like, you've got this other guy watching him, and as soon as the guy gets the signal to draw his pistol, like, he gets DQ'd. And there's nothing apparently wrong in the footage. And then it gets worse when the guy comes out with, like, the shooter, who just got DQ'd, comes out with the rules citation, and he starts arguing the call. Okay, so why do I think this? Why is this so bad? Well, if you watch as an impartial observer, like a USPSA event or any type of shooting sports thing, obviously safety rules important. We don't want people to be unsafe or be, shooting rounds where they're not supposed to go, whatever. That's obviously very bad. But usually when people are doing stuff that's unsafe, like, it's very apparent, and there's not really much disagreement about it. It'll be like, oh, what that guy's doing, like, that's a problem. In this case, in the footage, it's not really apparent what the problem is. The guy, again, if you don't know anything about competitive shooting, like, let's say you've never shot a match, you don't know anything about this, you watch a guy standing on what appears to be a prepared course of fire, he's looking at a target over there, it's just like, beep, okay, he gets his pistol out, draws, he's going to engage the target. Everything he's doing looks safe and controlled. There's nothing apparently bad that's happening. And he, like, controls the gun and points it generally in the direction of that target. And before he can shoot, it's like, boom, done, DQ'd. That's not good, because when it's a safety type of situation, it should be obvious what's going on. Now, sometimes you can't call it that way, or it's not really clear what's happening. But looking at the footage here, it's like you're left kind of like, why did this guy just get stopped? What is the problem here? And then you start hearing the back and forth about the rules, and you're like, oh, this is like some really technical rules issue. Now, let me get into the comments that people left on Instagram. We could talk about this. All right, so here we go. RO made the right call based on current rules. I know it sucks because I shoot at pendings too, but his gun was breaking the 180 as he was drawing. He's talking about the shooter. So for those who don't know, there's a 180-degree like muzzle rule, like you're not allowed to point your gun up range of 180 degrees. However, there's exceptions built in for drawing. Why? I think it's for stuff like this. Like, I don't agree with this guy's interpretation of the rules, but here we go. The rules currently in place assume a forward-facing holster to the side of the hip. It's been a big topic of discussion lately, both on social media and with NROI, and it's the shooter's responsibility to know how to keep his or her gun pointed downrange at all times, even if it means an awkward hip twist or something as they're drawing. The problem here is the RO knew it was going to happen and is just waiting for it, which is dumb. A better tactic would be for the RO to discuss it before he said, "Are you ready?" rather than DQing the guy, then getting into a pissing match about it. Then a reply to this guy's comment. Aren't you allowed to break the 180 while drawing and holstering up to a 3-foot circumference, everybody? Yes, that's my understanding of the rules. So there's people arguing about a technical rules violation, which is what the USPSA nerds are doing. So just imagine this situation. You watch this guy like gets DQ'd and you're like, okay, I don't really understand what happened. And now there's like some back and forth about, oh, this rules this or this rules that, when if you just watch it with your eyes, like again, watch the clip of the guy drawing his pistol and getting DQ'd, you're thinking, how is this even borderline? Like, what is I don't see what's wrong. Like, it's not apparent what's wrong. I agree. It's not apparent what's wrong from the footage. And then the more the USPSA nerds start arguing about this, oh, the rule is this or the rule is that. I mean, the fact is you're watching a guy draw a gun from appendix and point it at a target that he's meant to shoot and try to shoot it. And like, that apparently is wrong or bad. So I don't think this looks very good for USPSA. I think one of my favorite things was watching the shooter come out with like exactly this rule citation or whatever. It's like, that's not the own that people think it is. Again, if you don't participate in competitive shooting, you don't participate in these type of sports. It's like, why would you want to? So you say, you're telling me I'm going to go to a match and there's a guy standing there looking to DQ me. That's what the range officer was doing in the footage. He's literally looking to DQ the guy. As soon as he draws his pistol, I'm going to DQ him. You can tell that's what's going on. Then as soon as the guy draws his pistol, the range officer DQs him. And then there's an argument about the rules. One of the comments here, this is what keeps me away from these events. Bunch of likes on that one. That dude, another comment, that dude had a rule book citation ready like a Lance Corporal ready to spit the uniform order at a first sergeant over a mustache. Hell yeah. It's like, well, you say hell yeah. You say hell yeah. Like, yeah, man, way to go with the rule citations. Like, who the fuck would want to participate in that? Like, if you just want to go shoot and get better at shooting, like, you're not probably looking to get into an argument about the technical, where the fuck I'm allowed to point my gun exactly when I'm drawing. Like, this is not the own that USPSA people think it is. That's what I would say about it. Like, people don't want to have to memorize rules and argue with dickhead range officers just to be able to participate in a match. Let's read a comment here from Tom Castro. I don't think I agree with this take, but I should read it. The DQ was the correct call as the rule stands. I can't see how they will be able to change this rule without having major safety violations with guns pointed uprange. I think people should only think about safe shooters in these scenarios. What I'm mad about is that the RO clearly knew the rule and never said it to the shooter, hey, watch the 180 on the draw. Yeah, I could not disagree more. Like, what I watched, I didn't see anything unsafe happen. Where it's like watching the shooter draw his pistol and point it at the target and gonna shoot it. It's like, the 180 is not a safety rule. Like, I did not observe anything in the video that was unsafe. And that's what's hard for USPSA people to wrap their heads around. To them, the range rules and the safety rules are one and the same, and they don't understand that range rules are not safety rules. They are different. Let's see another comment on this. I know that RO, dude's the biggest. I don't think I can read that word on YouTube. Starts with an F, but he wrote it with a PH. Dude's the biggest around locally and more or less disliked across the board by everyone. Men like him shouldn't have an ounce of authority. Yeah, I don't know the range officer, but I'm not surprised to see that comment. One thing that I really enjoyed about this, like when I put this video on Instagram, I called the range officer an idiot. It's like, just to be antagonistic a little bit. And it's very telling to see the reaction to that. Like Adam Maxwell, former candidate for Area 5, former candidate, I heard he didn't like it, that I was calling the guy an idiot. And it's like, to me, like if you're going to have a guy be, let's say you're running for area director, and you cannot immediately identify from this footage that we showed you that people don't like that range officer, he's like, I can promise you that range officer is not well liked. Why? Because I watch what he's doing. I look at his demeanor. While he's watching this guy, he's looking to DQ him and then DQs him right when he thought he would, and then was like prepared to argue about it. I was like, I can tell you from experience, like that range officer, just like the 40 seconds of footage that I put up, I was like, people hate that guy. I can promise you that people local to him hate him. And I don't want people in leadership that, quite frankly, are too stupid to know that. Where it's like, I wouldn't want an area director where I can't say to him, is like, hey, that RO is an idiot. Like, that guy's a big fucking problem and he shouldn't have a timer, which is obvious to people who are around the guy, and it's obvious to people that are experienced if they know what they're looking at in this footage. But maybe it's not obvious to everybody, but it's like, the people that I want in leadership, this kind of stuff needs to be obvious to them. Like, they need to be able to see that. And the RO being a shitbag is a big part of this equation, if you ask me. Like, but for having a shitbag range officer, this situation wouldn't have really happened. Let's find another comment here. Anyway, I'm happy that Adam Maxwell didn't get elected. That was my point. All right. I think we got all the good stuff. Oh, he knew he was going to draw. I don't know. Maybe have the discussion beforehand if it's such a safety concern. Yes. So I like some of the discussion on this incident. Like, if it's discussing safety, I don't think it's genuine. Like, if somebody thinks that there was a safety issue that occurred in the footage, it's like they're deluded or they're dishonest. They're one of the two. It's like nothing unsafe happened. It's not about safety. It's like a technical rules violation. It's got nothing to do with safety. Like, I would not believe that bullshit for a second. How is he breaking the 180 from concealment, but not for on the waistband when the stance and draw are the same? Yeah, good question. But he had the rules citation ready. These two had to have had words beforehand. Yes, I would agree. I think there's, like, in the subtext, there's been a lot of interaction with this range officer before. Like, people know this guy, and the shooter, like shooting appendix, obviously he knew that rule because he felt he had to for some reason. My point with this video is, like, you like zoom out, and instead of just arguing about what the rules ought to be for, like, how to technically, like, what angle is allowed when you're drawing from appendix, like, that's not really the issue. It's like, zoom out and look at the whole situation, and you can see what puts people off about USPSA. You're like, I don't want a have to rules lawyer my way out of stuff. I don't want some jerk looking to DQ me, all right, that other people will then carry water for after the fact and be like, oh, he's a volunteer, like, you should be nice to him. It's like, and then I don't want to, like, who would want to be involved in this? If you're not already involved, you'd look at that footage like, why would you want to be? Why would you want to be? So I know that the USPSA board is talking about this issue and issues like it. I hope that they, again, like, zoom out and look at the bigger picture here. It's like, we want it to be so that the safety rules and what's going to get you DQ'd in USPSA is very obvious. We don't want, like, edge calls, like, with people getting DQ'd, and we don't want power-hungry range officers DQing people. I think that the old school range officer people have a problem fundamentally with dudes shooting appendix, which is not very forward thinking these days. A lot of dudes want to shoot appendix, and I think USPSA should facilitate it. Like, yeah, you can do that, and we're not looking to DQ you for doing that. Anyway, that's enough from me.